So it's been close to a year since I made my first Q&A video. I think I made it right after my face reveal or sometime around then. So I thought it would be fun to answer some questions both from people here on YouTube. I posted a little community tab section thing, and then I also posted a little question sticker on my Instagram story. So I have the questions on my phone here, and I'm just going to start going through them and try to get through as many as I can. There are a lot. Ever thought about trombone? I've played alto saxophone before. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really have a huge desire to play brass instruments. I made that trumpet video, learning trumpet in 7 days, but that's about the extent of my desire to try to play brass instruments. Brass instruments are hard. Favorite jazz saxophonist, modern or classic? My favorite modern guy right now is Eddie Barbash. I've talked about him a bunch on my Instagram, and I've been transcribing him and stuff. I think he's just like a pioneer right now. He kind of has a very unique voice. But I guess in terms of like classic, like not living saxophonists, I really like Cannonball Adderley a lot. He's definitely one of the biggest influences. Who is someone you look up to and why? There are a few different directions this could go. I mean, there are definitely a lot of musicians that I look up to, both like in my music scene. One specifically is George Hyde III. He's played a huge role in just my development as a musician because he runs a jam session in town, and he's always been super supportive. And it's nice because he's not that much older than me, so I don't feel super intimidated when I talk to him, but I definitely look up to him a lot. And then there are also some other content creators that I look up to, both in the music space and not in the music space. One in the music space specifically is Saxologic. I think he's extremely humble and really underrated. He's an incredible player, and he's also just a really nice guy. Also, I've been watching this Fortnite streamer for a long time. Her name is Maddie NF, and I've always looked up to the way she's kind of cultivated her community. So those are just a few people. What is your break-in process for reads? So I don't really do anything too crazy. Usually once I get a box of reeds, I'll open everything up and just let it sit in my room for a day or so to kind of get acclimated to the humidity. And then usually I'll kind of just go one by one. I try to like sand them down, I guess, on a piece of paper. I actually got this technique from like a Bob Reynolds video, so I'll probably just link that in the description so you can see what he does. That's basically just what I do. What do you do to practice improv? I get this question a lot, and really the best thing you can do is just transcribe. So take any song that you're listening to and either transcribe the melody by ear or transcribe a solo by ear and really get it inside of your head, because eventually improvisation doesn't really become about play this lick here. It just becomes about stuff that you're hearing and then getting it out of the instrument. So my setup right now on alto, I'm playing my Sios custom mouthpiece. Use code FoolishSios for 5% off, I think. I'm playing a Rovner ligature. I still don't know how to pronounce that. And then I've been playing Van Doren Java Green 3s on alto for a long time. I'll have all that linked in the description so you can check it out if you want. What is your favorite piece to play? I have a ton of tunes that I really like. One in particular is It Could Happen to You, and then I also really like the tune Everything Happens to Me. Those are probably my two favorite go-to standards. Did you ever study music with a lessons teacher? Yes. So I took lessons in high school, like through my high school. I was lucky enough that I could get lessons from a teacher while I was in school. So I did that once a week all throughout high school. And then I actually took guitar lessons for a few years early on in my music career, I guess, because I started on guitar. I have a lot of things to work on and I have no idea what to do. What should I prioritize? All is from class. So if you're talking about schoolwork, I was never great at prioritizing schoolwork over music. So I don't know if this is good advice, but I always, like my math classes, for example, I always did terrible in because I knew it wasn't applicable to what I wanted to do. So I often got terrible grades in my math class, but I also was never good at math. But either way, I would say the first thing you should do is just see how efficient you're being. Try to track all of your time and see, like, if you're scrolling on your phone every 10 minutes, you know, try to remove all the distractions you can and really just sit down and focus on whatever task you have to do. And then if you're really diligent about all of that and you still don't have enough time, then you just have to try to prioritize what's most important. When did you realize that you wanted to become a performer, and did you consider other things? Yeah, definitely. I actually, when I got out of school, I really didn't enjoy gigging that much. I've always been a morning person, and I didn't really like staying up late, and I don't really drink or party, so I didn't really necessarily fit in with the musician scene, if you will, even though there's a wide variety of musicians. So I definitely have considered other things. Also, I ran an Airbnb business for a couple years. I have my real estate license. I do some bookkeeping. So I have my hands in a whole lot of stuff. This channel is mainly about music, so I just don't really talk about that much. How did you get your first gig? So my first professional paid gig, I'm not sure if I even remember. I think I might have played at some little outdoor like wine tasting event or something near me, and that was when I was in high school. But I had a lot of performance opportunities through my high school, but I also had some performance opportunities before I was in high school playing guitar in like a little rock band summer camp that I did. Are you okay with me calling you Frevin? Do you slap bass? Are big band arrangements an idea for future videos? Maybe. I've never really considered myself an arranger. I honestly just really like making short little not super complex covers, I guess. I thought about doing like the Mario Kart 8 theme or something like that. I think that's a big band tune if I'm remembering right. I thought that would be really fun to just get a bunch of people, but I don't know. I also don't necessarily know how to arrange for a big band that well. So maybe one day, but probably not anytime soon. On a scale from Zan to Odd as how much do you appreciate me? I can't answer that. Have you graduated college yet? What is your major? So I did not graduate college. I can't remember if I mentioned this in my first Q&A video, but I did 1 full year of college. Technically, 1 semester was at UNT and another semester was at community college. I quickly decided school wasn't my thing for a whole bunch of reasons that I won't really get into in this video, but I was studying jazz studies when I was in Texas, so technically I was a music major. Favorite thing to do that no one really knows about? I mean, I like hiking, but I occasionally post pictures about that, so I feel like people know about that. Like, especially in the summer, I'm hiking multiple times a week. Half of it is for exercise, the other half is I just like to get out and be out in the air, you know. But I also really like playing the game RuneScape. I play old school RuneScape like pretty often, and I never really talk about that. I think I've made 2 RuneScape covers, so. Can you play a Rhapsody in Blue Smear? I don't really play clarinet. How long have you been playing and what was your first instrument? So I actually started on piano. I guess technically I always had a piano in like the living room of our house when I was a kid. So I would just pick melodies out by ear and stuff like that. I think I briefly took piano lessons for a couple weeks. I can't remember exactly, but then I picked up guitar around 4th or 5th grade, I think. And I played that up until the end of my 8th grade year. I picked up saxophone and then I played saxophone pretty seriously since. Would you ever consider longer covers? I've thought about it. Honestly, a lot of the video game music stuff is just short, and I've thought about trying to do kind of what Insane in the Rain music does and make a whole really long arrangement, but I don't know if that's really my thing. Like I mentioned, I don't really consider myself an arranger, and I don't necessarily love arranging. I like doing it for short little video game music covers, and that's pretty much the extent of it. So maybe one day. I think a lot of the big band stuff that I've seen people do and that I've gotten to be a part of, all of that always turns out really cool, but I just don't know if it's my thing. What instrument would you like to learn if you never played saxophone? Honestly, I've been playing banjo a lot lately, and I guess technically I play that. I don't know. I've only been playing it for about a year, but I really enjoy playing banjo. So I've really been happy that I've been able to kind of pick that up over the course of the last year and try to learn it, because that was always an instrument that I wanted to learn. If you had to change one thing that's ever happened to you, what would it be and why? Also, thoughts on Silk Sonic. So without getting too philosophical, I don't know if I'd change anything. This is kind of like the generic response about everything happens for a reason and all that, but yeah, I don't know. But I really like Silk Sonic. I've only heard like the Leave the Doors Open and what was the other tune? I can't think of it off the top of my head right now, but I definitely like their style. Favorite video so far? My favorite video so far has probably been, I don't know, I really liked the video where I taught my brother how to play saxophone because that was just funny to do. But in terms of the video game music covers, I really liked both the Castaways, I guess that's not really video game music, and the Mario Party Let the Game Begin. That tune is like really simple and melodic, and I was pretty happy with how that turned out. Since it's been a question on my mind a lot as of recently, where should you start when trying to learn more about music theory? So I was lucky enough to take some music theory classes in high school, and I know a lot of high schools will have some type of elective like that, like AP Music Theory or something like that. So I would first check and see if your school offers that, because that will be one of the best ways to kind of have direct access to a teacher and start getting a little bit of experience around that. Now, if that's not an option, there are a ton of videos on YouTube teaching music theory. Those can be super helpful, and oftentimes when I was in high school and was learning a concept that I didn't really get, I would just look it up online and see someone else explain it. Sometimes, like, depending on the teacher, they might not explain it in a way that's super beneficial to your learning style. So I always found that I was able to find a lot of resources online. What got you into playing musical instruments? Yeah, I guess I was always just around a piano when I was young, and I just kind of took to it from an early age, and at least that's what my parents tell me. My dad played trumpet in high school and my mom played flute in high school, but neither of them pursued a professional music career. I've kind of always just been attracted to sound, I guess. I don't know. Do you mini slap JK? Who are your favorite composers which aren't in the music industry? I'm not sure if you mean like composers that aren't like considered classical or something like that, but I definitely look up to a lot of video game music composers for sure. Are classical saxophone gigs a thing? So this is one of the hard things about playing classical saxophone, and definitely one of my issues with how it's taught in high school, is there really aren't a ton of classical saxophone gigs. There's like one dude in Paris that has some gig, you know, performing professionally. A lot of this is just due to the nature of the instrument being fairly new. So when a lot of the orchestral music was being written, the saxophone didn't exist. So you can't really play in an orchestra because there just aren't saxophone parts. There are some modern pieces that have saxophone in it, like I think Bolero is one maybe. And I know a saxophone teacher around me that will occasionally play with the symphony orchestra in town like once a year playing classical saxophone. But he's mainly a jazz guy and he teaches a lot too. But there really aren't a ton of performing gigs. Most classical saxophonists end up teaching. And there's nothing wrong with that, and there's definitely a lot you can learn from classical saxophone, and it should be studied. But I've always just been a big fan of learning the commercial side of saxophone, which ends up just being like jazz, rock and roll, and blues and stuff like that, just because there are way more opportunities that way. Why did you choose saxophone as your main instrument? So like I had mentioned, I was a guitar player up until about my 8th grade year, the end of my 8th grade year, and it was because I had a mixed ensemble class my 8th grade year of high school, and the teacher in that class was a saxophonist. His name's Eric DeFade, and he had come in a couple times throughout the year, you know, and played his saxophone, and I was just like blown blown away. I was just like, I love the sound. I love the sound of the instrument. I was like, I have to be able to do that. And so that's kind of when I converted, I guess. He always claims that he saved me from the guitar studio. What hobbies do you have outside of music? Work.
Make work your favorite. That's your favorite, okay?
I'm just kidding. I like hiking a lot, like I mentioned. I like being outside. I like visiting national parks. I've been trying to travel more lately. Just do like little day trips to things around me that I can just drive to, you know? And I've been enjoying video games for the last couple years too. I've been playing those when I have a chance. But the bulk of my time right now just goes into making music and making content, and I've been enjoying it for sure. Favorite classical mouthpiece? Yes, I asked that question. So I don't really play much classical saxophone, but when I did in high school and at the beginning of college, I played a Selmer C-Star. I think it was, Selmer S80 C-Star or something is what it's called. So that was always my setup, that and Rico blue boxes. How old were you when you first played the saxophone? I'm pretty sure it was the end of my 8th grade year. I'm pretty sure there's a video somewhere that's like the caption is like 7 days into saxophone or something, or 10 days into saxophone that my dad posted somewhere. If I can find it, I'll post a very brief snippet here because I'm pretty sure it's pretty embarrassing. Alright, well that's pretty much all the questions. I think I got to most of them. So thanks everyone who submitted a video, and thanks everyone for watching. If you have any other questions, leave them in the comments below and I'll try to answer them at some point. Maybe I'll do a Q&A video number 3 in another year, I don't know. But yeah, thanks everyone for watching, and if you aren't already following me over on Instagram and TikTok, make sure to do that. My @ is just Foolish Frankie. I post there pretty much every day, so go check that out if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next video.
Oh, dude, I'm already pro at this. Isn't this what you guys do whenever you're standing around? Yeah, I like that.